I have a special electric tuner here. You can get a tuning app as well. There's lots of apps out there for Android and for iOS that help you tune up your instrument. So my tuner, I don't know if you can see, I'll hold it close to you. There's a center line. It has like a triangle in the middle up there. Obviously, it's not saying a note at the moment, okay? That's because it's not on my instrument. And if the needle is to the left of the center line, it means it's a bit flat, which means it's a bit lower than our note needs to be. And then if the needle is on the right hand side of the center line, that means our note is a bit too sharp, which means our string is a bit too tight than it needs to be. Okay, so again, we can use our big tuning pegs if it's way off, and use our fine tuning pegs if it needs a tiny little alteration. Okay, so if I put my tuner on my peg like this is the best place to do it because it picks up the vibrations of your instrument. If you have one like mine, that is. Okay. And then if I pluck a string, I don't know if you can see very well, if I pluck my G string, it shows up green, nice and green, it's spot on, nice and in tune. And I do that for each string, so normally when I tune, I'd have my violin up like this, like I've shown you. And then I use my bow, so you can use your bow or you can pluck. That will still work beautifully to tune your violin, okay? You can pluck each string. Now when we come to using our bow, this is the bit that people get very scared of, okay? Or, pardon me, gets a bit confused about. Okay, so can you show me a nice number 4? I want a curvy thumb though, and then nice loose fingers. So it's a really loose number 4. Can you do that for me? Or imagine you're holding a glass of milkshake or your favourite drink, okay? We're going to hold that glass and then you're going to pour it out, okay? Alright, and then move your pointer finger up the glass, okay? So it's a bit spread out and a bit further up, okay? Now get your bow. And you see I've got a black bit. You should have a silver bit and a black bit. Now the black bits, they are always different sizes and different thicknesses. Some are quite thick and chunky and padded. Some are long and thin like my one, okay? So you want your thumb on the black bit, okay? So you want it between the hair and the black bit, okay? That's a perfect place for it, all right? And then remember your glass, tilt it to the side. You want your thumb underneath, so in between these two bits, okay? And then you want your fingers spread out across your bow, okay? Now at the moment it's supported by my little finger and my first finger, but when it's on your strings, so see if you can put your violin up like I've shown you, and then place your bow on any string, it doesn't matter which one, but the D string, so good dogs, that's always a good one to start on, okay? So place your bow on the string, and then now, because we've got our violin to hold our bow on our string, it's actually now my thumb and my finger that do all the work. And then these fingers just rest on the bow, okay? So, can you see if you can paint a line downwards, okay? So on the D string, we'll paint the line, make sure your wrist moves, okay? Here we go. Okay. Brilliant. Can you try that again with me? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. Fantastic. And you've got to be careful with your arm. So it's this bit stays where it is. And it's your forearm here and your wrist and your hand and your fingers that are moving. This bit shouldn't be moving, okay, at the moment. All right. So if we move our elbow back, that's going to make our bow go down at an angle like this down our violin. When we do a down bow, I do see that quite a lot, okay? So we want to make sure that our elbow and this bit of our arm stays where it is, and it's only this bit, okay? Can you see if you can just do that without the bow, okay? So the top of your arm stays where it is, but the bottom and your wrists and your fingers are moving, okay? So give that a go. Here we go. Are you ready? With your bow this time, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Have a look at the line and then push your bow up again. This is an up bow. Brilliant. And again, go down before you reach the bottom of your bow. Lovely. Bend that wrist. Keep the top of your arm where it is. Okay, making sure your wrist is moving. The top of your arm is staying where it is, and then your forearm and wrist and hand are moving as well. Okay, so fantastic. And you can even test yourself and do a couple of rhythms using your bow as well. So rather than just long notes, you want to concentrate in the middle of your bow. That's the nicest sounding place on our bow, okay? Excuse me. Okay, you can even put a bit of masking tape to mark the areas where you're allowed to play, okay? It's a really fun tester to do. Alright, so let's try doing a bit of a rhythm, but not using the whole bow. We're going to use sort of the middle of the bow. Can you copy my rhythm? We do this in schools quite a lot. You might recognise the pattern. Can you try that with me? Are you ready? And again, remember, wrist and hand are doing most of the work. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, go. Brilliant. And we can try that on each of our strings as well, okay? So let's try it on the G string. This is our lowest string, okay? For good dogs always eat. We're going to start on good, okay? Can you try it with your bow this time again? Don't push down too hard. And don't let your bow run away with you either, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. Fantastic. And then you could do the same thing on the A string and the E string as well. I don't know if you noticed, but my hand, this hand, my left hand, is holding onto the body of my violin, okay? Because I don't need to worry about my fingers at the moment, okay? We need to make sure we get the sound of the nice open strings first, okay? Open meaning we haven't got fingers to restrict the sound, okay? Or change the sound. So they're open meaning there's nothing on them, okay? So, the nice open strings, practice those for me, that would be fantastic. And then have your hand on the body of your violin. So have it not on this side, which is closest to your shoulder, okay? Have it on the other side for me, okay? That would be fantastic. If you want to practice having your hand here, make sure your wrist and your hand isn't leaning up like this. That's a very bad technique there, okay? You might hurt your shoulder and you might hurt your hand as well, okay? So making sure your wrist is nice and straight. We don't want it bent this way either. We want a nice relaxed straight wrist, okay? And again, keep your fingers well out the way so you can open your hand out like this, making sure your fingers don't get on the strings when we try and play them, okay? Because if they do, they might make a bit of a funny sound, all right? That's if we're not pushing down on it, okay, to make a purposeful note. All right, fantastic. Really good. So give those things a go for me. Great, yeah. So just a technical tip I forgot to say, when you take your violin out, your violin should be good to go unless you're putting on your shoulder rest, okay? But with your bow, this bit unscrews a bit, okay? So you want to loosen it. Can you see my screw is coming out a bit much there? So you don't want to see that screw coming out of your bow, okay? So only loosen it, so twist it towards you, okay? So your thumb should be coming down towards you, okay? But only twist it towards you to loosen your bow, only until you can't see the screw, okay? So we don't want to see that screw inside. When you take your bow out, it should already be loosened, okay? We want to tighten it before we start playing, okay? So, to tighten it, look at your bow, okay? Don't touch the hairs of your bow, all right? Remember what I said? Your hands have oils and acids in it, which could damage the hair, okay? So, hold it onto the wood bit, and then with your hand that you use to hold the bow, we want to twist it away from us. So, this is the frog, this is the little twister bit, okay? We want to twist it away from us to tighten it up. Now we don't want to tighten it too much where the bow starts to arc the other way, okay? So, we want to be able to fit your little finger very easily in the gap without having to push everything apart, alright? Fantastic. Now you might see very quickly before I finish, okay? I'm just going to loosen my bow a little bit. Okay, you might see something called rosin. Now there is something called resin, but that's not the stuff that we use on the violin. Okay, this is our rosin. Mine comes in a box. Okay, and you can see on the box it says rosin as well. Okay, now I get a dark rosin. Your rosin might be orange. Okay, like an orangey yellow. That's fine. It'll still do the same job. Okay, but when you use your rosin, you want to hold on to it with a cloth because it might make your fingers very, very sticky. We use this because it helps create friction. So I don't know if you learned about that in science, but it helps create friction between the strings and your bow, okay? Now, when we do this, like the bowing that I've showed you on the strings, we want to pretty much do the same with our rosin, okay, to help put some rosin on there, okay? I'm going to place the bow on the string. Make sure your bow is tightened. I'm going to tighten my bow again. There we go. Can you see it's nice and tight now? But not too tight. Okay, place it on the rosin. And can you see I've got my fingers on the cloth so it's not touching the rosin. I'm going to use my middle finger just to support my bow as it goes along. And we're going to pretend we're bowing and playing a note, okay, on our rosin. Okay, keep going over it. Don't be afraid to push hard on the rosin, okay. At least this one you can push hard. Whereas if we push hard on our strings, it'll make a bit of a funny noise, okay? Brilliant. And with our rosin, we can check if we have enough. If you see a nice white powdery bit on your hand, then you've got plenty of rosin on there, okay? If you don't see any white powder on your hand, if you do a little stroke on it, then you haven't got enough on there. So keep going. Sometimes it takes a while. If it's a brand new rosin, you've got to keep going over it and over it, okay? So don't worry too much, all right? But if we don't have rosin on there, it'll be like using the wooden bit of your bow, okay? There'll be no friction and it won't really make any sound at all. It'll just be slipping and sliding all over the place. So always remember to loosen your bow before you pack it away, okay? Take your shoulder rest off. So basically do the opposite of what you did. So I'm going to unclip it from here and take it off, okay? And then put it away nicely in your case. Each case is different. So I'm going to let you see if you can figure out the best way to put your violin away, okay? So, well done. Fantastic. And have fun playing. I hope you enjoy it. I love playing violin. So, violin is my main instrument. And I hope this video has been of a little bit of help for you just to get going. So enjoy, have fun, and see you in the next video.